Alrighty, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to another live stream. It's been a day or so. We're back here with another update for you guys. This one's actually pretty interesting. We actually have a hurricane that's heading into the Gulf now. This is Hurricane Rafael, which it is currently a Category 2 storm, my friends. We got ourselves a little bit of late-season hurricane activity going on out here, but anyways, my friends, hope everyone's doing well. Let's go ahead and see who we got here in the chat today. We got Peachy, we have Legacy, we have Dave, Kathy. Let's see here, David, Von Teal, Freaking the Sheets. Let's see here, Anna, Stephen, Kim, Jill, and of course everybody else who is here but just not chatting. So, yeah, like I mentioned, we do have a hurricane. It just crossed over Cuba, actually, as a Category 3 storm. It made landfall in western Cuba. As a Category 3 storm. It's now pulling off of Cuba now. So here's the thing, guys. We actually do have tropical storm warnings in effect for Florida, believe it or not. Now, this system in general really isn't going to be a problem for much of Florida. The main thing here is just, some gusty winds and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, we do have tropical storm warnings for the Keys here, also for the Dry Tortugas, in which, we possibly could see some tropical storm conditions. I mean, honestly, really nothing super crazy. I mean, we're talking, sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour, out there by the Keys, gusting to 40. So obviously, yeah, I mean, it's a little gusty out there. We definitely could have some gusty winds and all kinds of stuff like that. But, honestly, it's not going to be anything super, super crazy because the hurricane part of the storm is, all in here, basically away from the Keys. Now, this storm's going to continue working its way here to the northwest here, and it's going to continue to dig its way deeper into the Gulf, as we go down in time. So we're going to be going over the models and everything like that regarding this system. Actually, a matter of fact, we have a new GFS model run coming through right now, so that'll be pretty nice to have. That way we can kind of see fresh data coming off the press here. But anyways, yeah, and like I mentioned, there's actually, or maybe I didn't mention it yet, but there is actually a little bit of severe weather associated with this storm here. If I hop you guys over here to the Storm Prediction Center, we do have a slight risk in effect here for the very most tip of Florida. So let's go ahead and hop you guys over here to the Storm Prediction Center. So you can see we do have just a little bit of a threat down here. Towards the Keys, actually, we're in a slight risk there. And, of course, we have, some of the Everglades. It's kind of more in the marginal risk out there. So when it comes to it, tornado probability, believe it or not, we actually do have a 5% chance. This might be better if actually I hop you guys back to my main program here. And we look at this here on this program. It'll probably be a little bit easier, let's be honest. So here you go. Yeah, there we go. There's our tornado probability. So yeah, you can see that the Keys here is inside of the 5% chance here for tornadic activity, and then of course we do have ourselves the 2% chance, which is a pretty low chance here for tornadic activity. Although a couple isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out with some of those outer bands from the storm that's kind of getting shot up into southern Florida here. But like we mentioned, it's not a super crazy threat for Florida. I mean, it's just like I mentioned, the Keys have seen way worse in the past. This is just a simple little windstorm for you guys with a little bit of associated rainfall. Now, speaking of rainfall here, regarding the storm total precipitation so far, you can see that we have a couple of these streaks that just came through Florida. Basically, some of those bands just bringing in some pretty heavy rainfall. Now, out here towards the Keys, out there kind of just a little bit east of Key West here towards let's see here. The Great White Heron National Wildlife Refuge, showing like 4 or 5 inches or so. That's a pretty good amount of rainfall. Now, we can't take this precisely, but we can get an idea based off of that. But the Keys have definitely been experiencing a bit of rainfall. Some areas obviously heavier than others, but we've seen a good inch or so in some spots. And like I mentioned, with that big streak that we have here, there's some places the Keys that likely experienced a good 3, maybe 4 inches or so. And obviously there for Cuba as well, we've had quite a bit of rain. Now, obviously our radar doesn't really go that far towards Cuba. Key West is the closest U.S. radar we got to the storm here, but but at least it's something. It's that's that. But yeah, like we mentioned, it's not going to be that big of a problem for southern Florida here. Now, here's the thing. Here's the track. Later on, it's a big bubble at the end because there's a lot of uncertainty, and that's why we're going to really break down the models and kind of determine on what this thing's going to do. That we can kind of look at the independent model runs and kind of analyze them and stuff like that. So we'll get to that here in the future. But first of all, I do want to show you guys a current view up in Key West right now. This is a live camera coming in from Key West. You can really see. I mean, those trees are they're wiggling a little bit, they're moving around a little bit, but nothing crazy. We still got people out in the roads and stuff like that. I don't think it's that big of a problem for you guys, which is obviously great news. This thing is just barely grazing the southern tip of Florida here, which, even then, like I mentioned, it's kind of more of a low-end tropical storm concern for the areas out here in Florida. And not really much of a hurricane concern because the hurricane part of the storm is going to be a lot more further to the southwest rather than closer to the Keys. So we're pretty good. So only tropical storm conditions are expected, and from here on out, the storm's going to be pulling away further away from Florida. So we've probably already experienced our peak, if not we're at it right now. So. That's kind of where we're standing here. But anyways, my friends, well, let's hop over to the Hurricane Center real quickly. Let's do a little bit of an update here for you guys. We're going to talk about what's going on here with the latest advisory and stuff like that. So, like I mentioned, this is Hurricane Rafael. It actually was a Category 3 storm earlier before it ran into Cuba. Now, since it went over Cuba, it obviously lost a little bit of its strength because it got a little bit more unorganized because of the terrain and the mountainous regions out there, which it wasn't over land for that long, but for the brief period of time it was, that did kind of mess up with this lower level view. What's up, Squiddies? Hope you're doing good. But yeah, so like I mentioned, it's definitely no longer like I said, no longer a major hurricane, but it's definitely not a huge problem for areas like I said, like Florida and whatnot. Now, current sustained winds on the storm here, we're currently sustained, meaning constant winds towards the eye wall there, right around 105 miles an hour. The pressure is actually surprisingly low at 969 millibars here. And the movement here is moving to the northwest at around 13 miles an hour. So, oh, man, I had to sneeze. Sometimes it just... I cannot sneeze on stream most of the time, you guys. There's something about it. It's like I go in for the sneeze, and then it's like, no, and it withdraws like last second. I don't know what it is. But, yeah, so that's good. But, yeah, Cuba obviously got hit pretty good by this storm here. Now, there's actually a little bit of surges possible out here towards, the Keys and the Dry Tortugas. Once again, nothing really extreme or anything like that. 1 to 3 foot towards the Dry Tortugas. That's obviously because it's a little closer to the storm, and plus it's more out further in the water. So yeah, Dry Tortuga is expecting a little bit more surges by only about a foot or so. So 1 to 3 foot of storm surges is still relatively mild. That shouldn't really cause any, devastating concerns or anything like that. And then, like I mentioned, the lower Florida Keys, towards Key West and some of the surrounding areas there, where we do have about 1 to 2 foot, worth of storm surge. So there's a little bit of surges being possible, but nothing extremely crazy. Let's see here. When will I finally see rain in North Carolina or West Virginia? Well, unfortunately, it's we're still kind of stuck in this weird pattern here. We'll get to that when we get the models here in a minute. But we're stuck in this weird pattern where we're just having constant high pressure in the east, which is keeping things relatively dry. So we'll see. But we'll look at the models here in a little bit. Okay. Let's see here. All right, sounds good, Peachy. Sounds good. What's up, Darian? Hope you're doing good, man. Welcome. But yeah, so just a little bit of surge is possible. Here's our rainfall potential here overall. Most of this is kind of outdated because of the fact that we've already been past here. That was showing where the center was at, but the center's past Cuba at this point, so that's kind of outdated. So we did obviously have a lot of hurricane warnings in effect for western Cuba. The good news is that the hurricane force winds is now kind of away from Cuba. So the way that it is kind of right now is that, the Keys, as well as western Cuba, kind of more in the tropical storm realm of things right now. Which is good, and which, from now on, there shouldn't be any more hurricane impacts, for the folks out here in Cuba. The worst is already done with. So that's good, and hopefully everybody fared okay with that storm. I mean, it did hit pretty hard in western Cuba. I mean, it was a low-end Category 3 as it made landfall out there in Cuba, which is pretty rough. I mean, to experience a Category 3, near the beaches and stuff like that. I mean, like I mentioned, I was in Milton, which Milton at the time, I was in the eye wall of Milton, which was Category 2 at the point. But, and that was pretty crazy. And just imagining, a Category 3 on the beach, that's even worse. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of surges involved for Cuba, though. I'm not, like I said, there's no graphics really representing how big the surges were. I didn't really look at the models to also determine that, but, it's pretty rough. I'm sure it was definitely pretty rough out there. So obviously, send prayers out to people in Cuba, Western Cuba. We definitely did get hit pretty hard, here. But anyways, so that's kind of that. Here's our tropical storm force wind probabilities. As you can see that there's a lot of areas here in the probability chart overall. You can see, what's up, Court? You can see that we have the probability marker down here, so you guys can kind of follow the table. So obviously, yeah, Cuba was in 90 to 100%. That was just pretty obvious. There's really not a lot of, a lot of really big areas involved in this right now. What island is that? There's an island that's just north of the Yucatan Peninsula. I'm not sure of the name. I don't even know if it's populated or not. But they got about a 40 to 50% chance of tropical storm force winds out there. Overall. Here's the latest cone, guys. This is the latest, marker from the Hurricane Center. So he's going to continue to be continuing to be a hurricane throughout the next couple of days. Now, as of now, on the forecast track, it is actually not expected to re-achieve Cat 3 status. It's only going to be a Category 2 for the next day or a couple days or so before getting downgraded into a Category 1 storm and then eventually a tropical storm. So at the current moment here, according to the cone, there's really no areas that's in heavy impact. On previous assessments here, let me go ahead and bring up my pen so I can draw on my screen here. But, on previous assessments, I don't know if you guys remember, if you guys were tracking this here, there was actually, the cone, the majority of the models actually had this thing going up towards Louisiana. That is no longer the case. Things have definitely shifted, and that's no longer expected. So Louisiana at the moment is currently out of the question, which is good. Obviously, we don't need that. We don't need no Louisiana landfall. Now, the previous track of the storm, like I said, went over Cuba, and now it's going to continue to pull to the west here, but then it slows down a bit. We start to stall off a little bit, and during this time here overall, we'll also lose a lot of strength here, which we're gonna dive more into that in a minute to kind of understand why that storm is dying when it gets to these waters, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, it's also slowing down and just losing strength. So that gives me hope to believe that this has potential to not really be a heavy impact storm for the U.S. and for really the Gulf Coast, which is good. Now, obviously, like we just mentioned, Cuba, they just got hit by a Cat 3 out of this guy a little bit ago, in which, that was a big problem. But from here on out, the storm should be relatively more calm. We'll have to see. But anyways, let's dive into models, guys. We're gonna take a look at the models, kind of see where everything is standing right now. So this is the latest GFS model run. This is the Zero Zulu run overall. Let's see here. What's up, Texas Lady? Hope you're doing good. Welcome. Let's see here. What's up, Sonya? I'm so sorry. I'd never. Maybe one day I'll get your name right. Is it Sonya? Okay, let me know if it's Sonya. I'm going to try to remember that. If not, then I'll we'll figure it out. Sup, Storm Tracker, I hope you're doing good, man. Anyways, but yeah, here's the Zero Zulu GFS run. So according to the GFS, okay, I see what happens here. So the storm's likely going to weaken, probably due to a bit of wind shear. Let's see here. Let's also pop up our humidity. Oh, also dry air. Yeah, dry air is going to be a big problem. That's why the storm's going to die. It's from dry air. So what's going on here, according to the latest GFS run here overall, the storm's going to move its way here to the west into the Gulf, in which overall, the storm's going to start to weaken as it starts to encounter some of that wind shear from this frontal system, because we have another low that develops here towards the Central Plains right around the 8th and 9th or so. So that is going to possibly steer it to the north, according to GFS, but, it rapidly weakens by the time. So right now, it's kind of in an environment where there's not much dry air. Let's see. We're going to hop our way back over to the humidity. I can see it's still relatively in its own little cocoon here. Overall, in which it's kind of inside of a lot of moisture, which is very much needed for tropical systems. But yeah, then you can see it just kind of rolls its way out. We're gonna hop our way to the West Atlantic, maybe get a little bit more of a better view of that. But yeah, you can see that dryer really starts pulling into it. So that's great news, because that would mean that this storm here probably won't cause any problems for the U.S. here at all. Obviously, it went over Cuba, and then, of course, it just, the further it goes west here, the more that, it's just going to encounter that dry air, and the more it's going to encounter that wind shear and stuff like that. So that's great news. But remember, that's one model run. It's just GFS. GFS can be GFS sometimes. So now we're working our way over to Euro. So yeah, Euro shows the same thing here. Obviously, hitting Cuba, which it already did. Then continue to the west here before running into a lot of dry air. This one, unlike the GFS, so the GFS model run that we were just looking at there shows the storm kind of going this way and it may be pulling to the north as we get a low pressure system up here. Increasing our northeasterlies, which would, in theory, bring that storm up further to the north here. Now, Euro shows that, that system a bit more further up north here, which, doesn't have as much of an influence on the storm itself down in the Gulf here. But at the same time, there still is a lot of dry air that's getting kind of fed into the system here overall. So that's good news. So that leads me to believe that everything will be fairly good. Let's hop over to CMC real quickly. We're gonna take a look at the CMC model. So same thing, hitting Cuba, pulling to the west here, and then just kind of weakening here. This one also has a kind of pulling maybe there towards like Louisiana or whatnot. we'll see. Even if it does manage to make its way to like Louisiana or whatever here towards the Gulf Coast, by the time it gets there, the storm would probably not even be a tropical storm. To be honest here, that's great news. And here's the icon model, just showing the storm actually going down. So there is a lot of uncertainty because the storm kind of stalls out a bit. There's a lot of uncertainty what happens once we get into the Western Gulf. But what we do know about, the Western Gulf is that, either way, whatever track it takes, it will weaken to the point where it just dies out. So that's good. So I am really happy to tell you guys that, I think y'all out here in the States, in the Gulf Coast here, are good, because that dry air is going to really kind of cripple that storm and really kind of destroy it overall, which will be, definitely be great. So definitely really thankful for that. It could have been a whole lot worse. I mean, that system couldn't have been there, and we could have had more moisture-filled air in the environment. But thankfully, from all the models' perspectives, while the track is still a little iffy in the long range here, the moisture content is very much the same with every model that we look at, representing a lot of dry air kind of feeding its way into that storm at some point, and as we roll into the West Gulf, which that's going to basically just kill it overall. What's up, Quentin? Saying, is it done? Here, let me look and see. I'm going to pull it up here. Oh, by the way, Quentin, did you see this? We're going to bring you guys over here to the radar. So, yeah, this is current radar view of the storm. This is in Key West radar, South Florida. Got a Category 2 going on right now. But, yeah, let me pull it up real quick. I'm actually going to open up another frame so I don't lose the loop here. Let's see. Is there a new place file, Quentin, or is it the same? I guess I'm about to find out here. Let's see here. Well, that one's not up and running. Doesn't look like. So probably, yeah. I'm gonna have to get that new place file from you, man. But anyways. But yeah, guys. So like I mentioned, it's really good news. With this storm here, it's just gonna run out of moisture, and possibly a little bit of an increase in wind shear as well, overall. So we'll definitely we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. But the good news is, like I said, there's currently no concern for you guys out here in the Gulf Coast at the moment, even though this thing is a hurricane Category 2 at this point, but. It's not going to be anything super, super crazy for us. Now, another thing I wanted to hop on over to, just as a quick little update with you guys today is also the severe weather risks coming up here. So for today, we have that little marginal and slight associated with Rafael currently ongoing out here. So then we work our way into tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, we have a non-tropical related severe weather event here for Texas. Western Texas actually is in a slight risk here. We do have a 2% chance for tornadoes, so an isolated tornado or two is possible in Western Texas. Damaging winds, we got a 5% chance, which is fairly low odds of seeing damaging wind gusts. But we could be containing maybe 60, worst case scenario 70 mile an hour wind gusts in some of these storms here tomorrow is possible. Then our hail threat, we actually do have a 15% chance. That's actually why we have the slight risk, that level 2 threat here, is because of hail. So hail shouldn't be anything significant. We shouldn't see any hail over 2 inches in diameter. However, 1 to 2 inches in diameter of hail, so quarter size to just 2 inches in diameter, double quarter size, could be possible. Could really be a possibility. So we'll have to, be watching that. I don't think we're going to do coverage because, this is a pretty low area. There's only 500,000 people, and that sounds like a lot. But, it is a lot of people, but, you got to think over the whole risk area, that's pretty low. But, if it becomes a problem, if it gets upgraded or something like that, we'll go live. Or if something crazy starts happening, we'll go live for it. But I don't think we'll need to right now. Moving into Friday. Friday, we do have another day of severe weather potential out here towards the central side of Texas overall. This also does include like San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, Arlington. It's going to be nothing like the severe weather we just experienced here a couple days ago. However, there is still a possibility for an isolated severe storm or two. There's no breakdown right now regarding the exact probability for tornadoes, large hail, or damaging winds. The SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, they only do the first 2 days. So like today, day 1, tomorrow, day 2. So they do today and tomorrow, which is the first, the 2 days. So, but they don't do day 3, which this is Friday in this case. Now, in the long-range severe weather forecast here for Saturday, predictability is too low. We're just a little bit unsure of things here. For day 5, for Sunday, potential is too low. Not expecting anything for day 5. Monday, same thing, potential too low. Day 7, Tuesday, predictability too low, and day 8, predictability too low. So as of now, there's nothing really big in the long range here overall, which is great news. But we're going to hop our way over here to the hop over to the GFS here. We're gonna look at the overall weather patterns and stuff like that real quickly. Just look at the overall view of things. So here for tomorrow, you can kind of see we have a little bit of a frontal system going on here. You can see all that instability that builds its way into, Texas tomorrow. And you can see we have that source of lift being that little front there. You can see kind of pushing all that instability out into the east here, or really just using up all that instability and kind of keeping it out of Texas as we have a low pressure system that develops and shoots its way up into the central plains. Once again, regarding this event here, the instability is fairly low. So that's great in the fact of limiting how severe storms can get, and also our lower level wind component. We do have a decent little lower level jet stream here. We're talking maybe 30 knots or so. That's why we do 30, 40 knots or so. That's why we do have at least that 2% tornado risk here. So we'll see what they do. Really just depends on the environment tomorrow and stuff like that. But and everything going on there with that. Now, we work way further down in time, and really over the next several days, we're just not really expecting anything big, severe weather-wise. And anything further than this point in time is La La Land. Not really trustworthy at this point in time. But at the moment, it just seems like we're a little bit more calm here. But, we have that one little severe weather little setup over here. Now we're going to hop our way to HRRR real quickly, which is the high resolution rapid refresh model. So you can kind of take a look at a little bit of a better view there. But yeah, you can see that front there, see it pushing to the east overall, and everything like that. And so we have all that advection, all of that moisture and instability and stuff like that, just kind of flooding its way into Texas here. But then that cold front just kind of comes and sweeps it up. So that'll be certainly good. I'm sure that's going to contain some really dry air as well. I guarantee you that's going to be some very low humidities over here. Let's see here. So that says, yeah, look at that. Some of western Texas is going to be like 10% humidity. That's pretty low. Let's look at our dew points here. Yeah, you can see that cold front roll through. See how it really lowers those temperatures quite a bit. There's a little marker showing 74 ahead of the cold front here. This is for later tomorrow. Sorry, this is for the 8th, which is the day after tomorrow. So then you can see that cold front rolls through, and then the temperature kind of rapidly drops there. So that'll be quite a noticeable change in temperatures. Now, reflectivity-wise, yeah, you can see that low that develops over here towards like eastern New Mexico, and then out there towards like western Texas and whatnot. Could spark off some supercells. We could get a couple supercells here by tomorrow and into Friday. Definitely is a possibility, and like I said, there could be some tornadoes on that. So we'll have to keep a close eye out there for that. And like I mentioned, if it needs to be monitored, or sorry, if it needs to be covered, then we'll cover it. But we'll see how that plays out. Now, also, there will be some snow on this event here too. Believe it or not, it's not just a severe weather concern. There's already been quite a bit of snow falling throughout like New Mexico and areas out here throughout like Colorado as well, as you can see, and there's going to continue to be a lot of snow. These areas are actually getting a heck of a lot of accumulation, due to just consistent snowfall for the last couple of days and for the next couple of days as well. So that's going to allow for, quite a bit of accumulations to occur. I mean, HRRR, take this with a grain of salt, but, we could have well over several feet of snow in some of these areas out here towards, northeastern New Mexico, the far western county of the panhandle of Oklahoma, as well as, southeastern portions here of Colorado. We really could be picking up quite a significant amount of snowfall out here in these regions here. Now, we're going to hop our way over here to this page here, or this view here for you guys, and we're gonna look at the overall warnings on that, just to kind of see where we're standing here overall. So let's hop on over here. We do have a lot of those winter storm warnings, as we were talking about, in place for New Mexico and stuff like that, and areas out there towards eastern Colorado and whatnot. Like we mentioned, there's going to be a heck of a lot of snow included here. I mean, 10 to 18 inches here. Expect 18 to 26 inches along the Interstate 25 corridor. Really gusty winds out there too. Albuquerque here, we could expect 5 to 10 inches, up to 15 inches possible in some areas. I mean, it's there's a lot of snow involved in this event here. It really does range quite a bit, but as you can see, I mean, this is going to be our first really strong winter storm of the year so far, but still not quite cold enough to the point where we do get our way out here towards, areas like, the central U.S. and the eastern U.S. and stuff like that. So, still is just a little bit, still is overall just a tad bit basically just too warm in general for that. See a lot of snow over New Mexico for sure. Yeah, it really does look like we're going to have quite a bit, of snowfall to be falling out here. So we'll definitely be watching. Let's see, I have to go in lurking mode, trying to get my grocery order done. Sounds good. But anyways, folks, well, honestly, just a quick little update tonight. We basically already went over everything the tropics related. So if you guys are just tuning in here, wanted to know about the tropics, rewind our live stream. We went over the models and stuff like that overall. So we'll keep you guys posted on everything. Once again, the storm here in the tropics, it's just going to continue rolling to the west here. And is going to, stall out, and it's going to run into a lot of dry air. It's just going to die out there. That's good. Severe weather-wise, we'll continue watching that for basically, Thursday into, Thursday into Friday and stuff like that. So we'll keep you guys posted on that as well. And then, of course, our winter weather, literally tropical activity, severe weather activity, winter weather activity. It's just, dude, 3 seasons, man. It's crazy. But, all right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining, everybody. Once again, we're going to head off here for now. It was a quick little 30-minute live stream just to get you guys, a nice little weather update for y'all and everything like that. But you guys take care. If there's any questions you guys might have, feel free to reach out to us on our Discord. We have that in the description, as well as everything else, like our social media. Follow us on Twitter in the bottom left, NWW116_WX. And, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. Thanks to the mods for modding today. Appreciate y'all. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for now. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. You guys take care. Stream's going to head off here in approximately 2 minutes. So go ahead and say goodbye to your friends and your family and everybody else you're hanging out with here in the chat. And, all righty, guys. Thanks for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Sleep good. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow for another update. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. We'll see ya later on. Peace out.